But can we take a step back? I mean, most people are familiar with assets inside superannuation, and most people are familiar with assets that they hold personally. But you mentioned assets held within a trust. What are the specific issues that people face with assets held within a trust? And for some other people out there who don't, use those sort of vehicles, what should they be looking out for?
When we have a look at trusts, trusts are an entity for owning assets, and they're set up for different purposes. But there are a couple of different parties within a trust that are quite important. So we have Bob and Sue, they have a family trust. And the trustee may be Bob and Sue, it might be Bob, it might be a trustee company. Bob and Sue Proprietary Limited as trustee for the Bob and Sue Family Trust. And then there are beneficiaries. Beneficiaries are those who are entitled to consideration. But you'll notice a position up there which is in red. And this is the key position. And this is what we find is often overlooked. And this is the role of the appointor or the principal. Now, as I said before, assets that are held in a trust, they won't go via a will when someone passes away. So if Bob dies and he has an investment property in his family trust, if he dies, the trust still owns the investment property. But as you can see in this particular slide, Bob is the appointor. Now the appointor, that's the decision maker. The appointor can hire and fire the trustee. But we need to ask ourselves, if Bob dies, who controls the trust? Has a secondary appointor been nominated? And where is that documented? Are they comfortable with the executor coming in to take on that role for a period? I had a meeting, it was a couple of years ago, with a fellow that was referred to me, a 72-year-old, and we looked at his estate planning requirements, and he was mentioning all throughout the meeting that he was leaving, let's call it XYZ Proprietary Limited, to his daughter. And when I asked him why he was doing that, he said, because XYZ owns $2 million worth of property. But when we looked at his will, it actually did state that XYZ Proprietary Limited and the shares in that company were being left to his daughter. But what we discovered when we did our searches was that XYZ Proprietary Limited was simply a trustee company for a family discretionary trust. And the $2 million property was held within the trust, not within the company. And when we looked at the trust deed, this chap was the appointor or principal, but the secondary appointor was his accountant. So if he passes away, the secondary appointor has control. And that's not the outcome that he wanted. So when clients have assets held in trust, we need to work with the lawyers and the accountants to ensure that any assets that are held in the trust are controlled by the right people should that particular individual pass away, if he or she has been nominated as the appointer.